Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. Today, I'm going to be working on some Simmons 3-piece wheel faces for a Porsche 996. These wheels belong to a friend of mine, Rob, who I've not seen in quite some time, but recently we linked up because he bought a Porsche 996 and managed to score these 3-piece Simmons wheels off Facebook Marketplace for an absolute steal. Now he's got a whole DIY series on these wheels going on his YouTube channel. He's doing a very budget-friendly rebuild on these. So he's taking care of all the disassembly, he's polishing the lips himself, he's gonna paint the barrels, polish the hardware, but he wants a professional to redo the faces. So here they are at my shop. I'm going to show you a couple of before shots of these, some close-ups of some issues, unfortunately, that these wheels have. And of course, these are being repainted by somebody else while the wheels are fully assembled. So we have to strip these down to bare metal so we get a fresh start. The first issue that arises for me is all these wheels have this nice stamping on the wheel spoke that says Simmons. It's really nice, and obviously you want stuff like that because you want people to know what brand wheels they are, the authenticity, and just to keep everything as original as possible. So with the plan on the color of these, I could actually brush this off so it stands alone and it's just like a nice badge of honor on the wheels that says Simmons. It would be a nice contrast from the color that these are going to the actual Simmons logo here on the face. Now the problem is, as soon as I got these, Rob pointed this out to me, the previous person that did these wheels, they have hand sanded them and painted them. They painted these completely assembled so you can see all the hardware holes are bare because the hardware was left in. And down here, the flange where the lip would be against, that's all bare as well. It's not that big of a deal, but this is a big deal. That means the plan for me to brush these logos is no longer the plan. I have to basically just coat over this. Removing it entirely is out of the question because one of them is sanded too much. The other three are completely fine. So it would be an absolute waste to sand all these off to take that authenticity away from the wheels. Second thing is there is a little engraving here. This says some of the specs of the wheels. So I'm assuming this is gonna say 17 by 9 or however big the wheels are, maybe the offset. I think those are being sanded a bit too much too. So after chemical stripping, I'm gonna see if we can see the lettering. If they're too far gone, I'm gonna probably reach out to Rob and talk about completely shaving this little badge off here. So it just makes the wheels look a bit smoother, a bit nicer, and then just having the Simmons logo still on the wheels. Now, as for the back of the wheels, all the center board was left bare, which is nice. The back pad was painted, which is kind of a no-no with powder coat. And it's a huge no with powder coat because of some thickness that can happen with powder coat. You don't want anything off on the back pad at all. You want that to be nice, bare, clean metal, so it fits on the rotor as it should. It doesn't cause any vibrations or any loosening of the lug nuts having anything on the back of the wheel. The back of the flange, because the wheels were completely coated, well, painted, assembled, that's fine. That's how we're gonna keep this after. But of course, a terrible job. There's light spots all in the pockets, in here, the pockets of the spokes, and just around where the back pad protrudes out. So obviously the back, to some people, doesn't matter, but to me, the back is still a part of the wheel, so the back should be just as good as the front. So other than that, it's really just the Simmons Racing wheel logos, and it's just the little badges of the wheel specs that is the biggest issues to me. As for the rest of the wheels, there is no dings, dents, curb rash, nothing like that on the wheels. So this should be straightforward, but I haven't chemical stripped them yet. So once they're chemical stripped, I can see the actual profile of the metal and see if it's nice and smooth or if it's nice and rough. If it's rough, I'll have to do a bit of sanding and try avoid this as much as possible. But let's get these into the chemical stripper and then I'll show you what they look like once they're bare metal. Now, just really quickly during inspection, just look out for things like markings. I saw this bit of Sharpie in here and I wasn't quite sure what that was, so I just didn't even think about it until I saw on the second one, there's a number 2. Then I looked again at the other 2 just to make sure. There's a 3 on here and a 4 on here. So obviously Rob marked the wheel faces and it's something we never talked about. I just thought it was a piece of Sharpie for whatever reason. So obviously these are numbered to go into each numbered lip and barrel that Rob has. So what I've done is I've got a hammer and a punch, and the most inconspicuous place that you can put a marking is on the back pad. So I just did a punch number 1 here. I've done 2 punches right here, 3 punches right here, and 4 right here. So it's a very inconspicuous place to mark the faces. I don't want to hit the back of the spokes. I don't want to do anything like that. Just a quick punch on the back right here is good enough. You don't want to do it in here where it kind of looks silly, I guess. You could almost mark it on here, but you want to be able to see it always. So even if you have the wheels off the car and with the barrel mounted on here or the lip, you're never going to see the marking. So it's always good to do it in a place that you'll kind of see it, but not when you don't want to see it. So mark the back pads with a hammer and a punch. Always talk to the customer. I guess this is something I should have asked. Usually it's not a big deal to do a full rebuild of wheels and kind of put the faces and barrels and lips wherever, but these are staggered. So it might be important with the different offsets. I believe all these are the same offset. They all look the absolute same. Maybe it's just the lips and barrel sizes that are different to change the offset. So just quickly mark these. Now I can get them stripped. Now that these are out of chemical stripping, they've been washed. Now we can see the full extent to the condition of the wheels. And first and foremost, these are in amazing condition. They've already been kind of pre-sanded by whoever painted them previously. As you can see here, it's, you know, few little, I wouldn't say low spots, but that's where, you know, the sandpaper went through the original paint or primer. Very nice and smooth casting or forging, I'm not quite sure on these wheels, but amazingly smooth. Now this is why it's good to always chemical strip wheels instead of, you know, blasting them or anything like that first, because you can see the profile of the wheels. You can also see any damages that need to be fixed, such as right here. Might be hard to catch, but there is a tiny little, I wouldn't say gash, little nick right there. And a tiny little nick right here. I can sand that out with 320 grit sandpaper on a block as such. Really quick, I'm gonna do that in a minute. But the greatest thing that has been revealed since chemical stripping these is all of the Simmons logos, all of them are all intact. So whoever previously painted these must have sanded, I think it was this one. This one seems like it's the thinnest right here. I can barely catch my nail on the edge, and it's a bit higher on this side. So I think this is the wheel that it was almost disappeared at the end. But this is, it's still all there. So I think I can get away with coating this and having this all revealed as it is. Also, all these letters, or all the numbers right here. Unfortunately, we're missing the 0 on the end there. Ever so slightly missing the 3. It's just about there. The 0 is intact. On this other wheel, the edge is kind of rounded off, but we're missing the 0 on there as well. And then this one is completely fine. Everything is all there. It's not being sanded through. So I'm gonna try go light right here, and obviously light over the Simmons to make sure that all these stampings and letterings are all still there and visible and legible after powder coat. Of course, the backside, these are all nice and clean as well. Nothing crazy to reveal. Obviously all this right here is just casting. I'm not gonna bother sanding that out. It's on the back of the wheel. But the next step now is to put them through a process called outgassing. Now, if you don't know what outgassing is basically the pre-bake cycle that you do on parts or wheels to help burn out any impurities or any gases stuck in the metal of the aluminum because it's porous. The typical rule for outgassing is 50 degrees higher than the powder coat is going to cure at. So for example, the powder I'm going to be using on these wheels is a 400 degree Fahrenheit for 10-minute bake. That's the bake in the oven once I actually apply it. So you go about 50 degrees hotter for about an hour. So I'm going to bake these at 450 degrees, part metal temperature. So when the actual part gets to 450 degrees, not the oven, for 1 hour. I'm going to let them cool down and then we can do the sandblasting process then. So I've got this little electric oven that I use strictly for outgassing only. I don't ever bake in this thing. So I'm gonna stick these in. Let's get the next part of the process down. These faces have now come out of the outgassing process. This is the one wheel that had a couple little nicks on it right here. And right here somewhere. So I've got 320 grit sandpaper on a block. It's a little worn out, but it's still gonna do the trick given how shallow these are. I've given a really good inspection on the rest of them. Nothing's changed through the outgassing process, just burning out all the impurities. They're gonna now come to the surface. So this is why sandblasting is the next step in the process. So I'm gonna give these a quick sand and then we're gonna get over into the other side of the shop to get these blasted. There, just with a quick sand, you can see it a little better. That's just to highlight it, just to see how actually deep it is. So we've got this one right here, and I believe the other one was right here somewhere. Not on that spoke, so maybe it was on this one. Yeah, right there. Just to highlight that a little bit there. So I'm gonna put the camera down, I'm gonna sand that really quick, just so I don't shake this like crazy, but maybe I'll need a new piece of 320 grit. This might be a little bit too worn out, so I'll get a fresh piece and I'll hit these two areas. As you can see, that's all done now. I actually did find another one on this side where I kind of sanded a little bit. I gave it a quick look. There was actually another little nick right here that I missed initially, and this one is all gone as well. What I've also done is gone over the Simmons lettering because I noticed it was a bit bumpy in the gold paint, but now that it's all bare, I just gave a quick pass. And when I say quick, I mean, 1, 2, 3, just to level it out a bit more so that when I put powder on top of it, it is actually just nice and smooth looking. I did it with all of them except for the one right here. The one that's already, barely there. I didn't even touch that one, but I gave the other 3 just a quick sand just in case, make it look all nice and smooth. Now, before I start sandblasting these, there's one thing I want to do, which I always do for pretty much every set of wheels. The mission statement with everything I have in the shop is whatever has bare metal left, I want to make sure it's nice, shiny, and machined looking like it would come from factory. So I want to basically replicate as if I've powder coated these wheels and then they went for machining. So machining the center bore and machining the back pad, as well as machining the flange or the register. So I want to protect the center bore from blasting. That's what I don't want to touch at all. I've got some aftercare stuff that I do once these are actually coated. I have these silicone plugs here that I get from High Temp Masking Supply. I'm going to protect it from the front and the back. So unfortunately, this falls through when you go through the front. If you push it down enough, it's going to fall through. There's also a tiny little lip here that I actually want to powder coat up to so that when the center cap's in, there's actual full coverage there. So what I'm going to do is use these silicone plugs from the back side. I can get away with pushing this through as much as possible. So with the tapered silicone plug in from the back side, it actually reveals this in here where I actually want to sandblast and powder coat. So obviously we want it blasted so there's adhesion for the powder coat to stick. And I have a bigger tapered plug that goes through in the back. With this now plugged up, we can get to sandblasting. Usually I start with the backside first and then make my way down to the front because I don't want to do the front first and then have to flip it down, get it on this, move it around and have it scratch where I've just freshly blasted. That's not gonna be a big deal with the backside because the only place it's gonna rest is on this plug. We got the second one blasted, looking really nice. Now, just because you inspected something before blasting doesn't mean you shouldn't inspect it after blasting, because sometimes when the wheel is in a uniform finish like this, which we call the white metal blasted look, or white metal, then you start to see other things pop up like this. So this is clearly from a removal of a lug nut that maybe got stuck. There's a little high point here that needs to get sanded down, and this needs to get blended in. So I've got a couple tools to fix that. Maybe I'll just do a little bit of this by hand. As you can see right there, it's a little high spot. You got like a little lip sticking up right here. So that needs to get knocked down, and then this needs to get blended in because we actually have like a little bevel right there. So what I'm gonna use, let me grab my tool. I have we call these cartridge rolls or sanding cones. I'm going to use this in here. I'm going to basically kind of oval out the hole. I'm going to widen it up a little bit just to get rid of this little edge. And then I'm just going to finish this off by hand right here. And then because it's in the blaster, I can just quickly touch it up because we want everything blasted, not in any kind of sanded finish. The last thing, which I find pretty important for whatever reason, is I hang up all the wheel faces from the exact same hardware hole just to keep consistency. Having just some wheels turned a little bit funny, like if this one was hung from this, I find that very odd. So consistency is just keeping them all hung from the exact same areas, whether it be a wheel face or something else. If you have similar parts, just hang them exactly the same. That way you do every single wheel exactly the same. Another reason I've hung the Simmons upwards is because I'm gonna coat this spoke, the front of this spoke last, because I wanna put on as thin of a coating as I can to make sure I don't lose any of this Simmons writing, as well as any of these these numbers right here. So I'm actually gonna flip this wheel and the other two backwards. And I'm gonna start with the back of the wheel first. I wanna get inside all the pockets. I'm actually gonna get most of the lug nuts going through the backside right here. That's another reason I don't tape anymore. When I used to tape, I used to cut out all the lug nut holes so that the powder and the air could flow through. These are semi-deep, kind of, not really, but I don't wanna focus the front of these to get into the lug nut areas because of this right here. That being directly next to a lug nut hole, I wanna get it from the backside. So I'm gonna start from the backside, get inside all the pockets and inside the back pad pockets right here, try get as much as I can through the backside of the lug nut holes. And then I can get the back flange around here. And I'm actually going to get inside all these relief pockets on the flange. That's another reason I don't tape anymore, is because I want to vacuum off just the top side that's going to mate against the lip and keep all of this pockets, or all of these pockets, coated and protected. So as I said earlier, I want to basically make these wheels look like they've been coated then machined. Imagine if you coated this full wheel and ran it on a lathe, you would only get the top side of this flange, not anything in these pockets. So that's all going to get coated from the backside. I'm going to flip the wheels around, and then you're going to see how much is actually coated on the front. That way I can put on as little as possible on the front to make sure the Simmons and the numbers are still there after coating. Now, I don't think this is going to be a big deal to say or not, because I'm sure Rob's video is going to come out before mine, but this is the color we're going to go with right here, is this dark silver. Typically, I do most OEM wheels in this nice bright silver, but we're actually going with this dark silver. Depending on the light flipping around, if I hold this in the light here, you can tell the one on the right is a little darker than the one on the left. It almost looks like a gunmetal gray, except for in certain angles. You get a lot of nice silver metallic in it. It looks really good. So Rob wanted some sort of silver, and because he's getting polished lips, I convinced him that this silver is too close to a polished lip, in the sense of you're not going to get any high contrast. So if you go with something darker, the lips are going to look a little brighter, more reflective. The faces are going to stand out a little more. And that's what ultimately I think should go with something with a polished lip, is a little bit more of a contrast in color regarding to the face. So we're going with this darker silver. It's a color from Emerald Coatings. It's called Platinum Sparkle. I don't know, is that 4 or 5 or 6? I'm not sure, but either way, that's a color we're gonna go with. All right, so you saw those wheels get vacuumed off, obviously sprayed, vacuumed off. I changed the settings from doing the back of the wheel to the front of the wheel because I wanted to put it on as light as possible in the front. Now you saw I put it on a bit heavier on the back because you get wraparound when it comes to powder coat. So all the particles that are going past and through the spokes are still charged, statically charged because of the gun and the way powder coating works. And it wraps around to the front of the spoke. So most of the front of the wheel got completely coated just by spraying the back. So I wanted to put on the powder as thin as possible on the front side. So I adjusted the powder cloud down so it's more controllable and I can get it into the areas that I want without absolutely saturating the entire front of the wheel. The next thing to do is to clean out all the powder out of the system. So I want to get the silver out of the fluidizing hopper, out of the hoses, and out of the gun. So disassembling the end of the gun. Then I'm going to be applying a clear coat next once these have cooled down. So get them down to room temperature completely and then spray the clear coat just as I did the silver. Now I'm going to be using an acrylic clear, which is Chef's Kiss, one of the best clears that you can buy for powder coating. I don't typically use it, but on specialty projects and things I want to turn out flawless, I use the acrylic clear. But mind you, it is expensive. It is very, very expensive compared to most clears. Now, this isn't saying the clears I use on a day-to-day basis aren't good or amazing. They are just as good, but if you've ever used or seen acrylic clear, there's something about it that is just that one notch higher, and you'll see once these are done, the quality that acrylic clear can give you. But in the meantime, I'm gonna be cleaning out the gun and or at least putting the clear in the system. I'm gonna keep checking on these wheels periodically every 5 minutes or so and just watch the temperature slowly climb up to about 360. Set a 5-minute timer and then pull them out. That way the powder is nice and set. It's not gonna keep flowing out once I apply a clear and then put it in for the final cure. So we wanna make sure we monitor each cycle or bake cycle to get the right temperature and the right time that these powders call for. And here we have it. All 4 faces are finished. They look like they are wet. This acrylic clear is amazing. It lays down smooth every time. Doesn't change the color too much. If you were to put this over polished aluminum, like actual polished aluminum, you don't really get any color difference in the metal at all. It is just very crystal clear, and I'm happy with it. These look amazing. Now, the biggest thing about these wheels was all the Simmons logos and making sure that they are all there. So actually, I'm gonna start over here at this end one. It's there. This one is here. This one is here, and this one was the one that was disappeared. And I've managed to save it. You can definitely tell it's been sanded previously a little too much, but you can fully see it now. Before, you can only really see about that much of it. Now, unfortunately, all the numbers here in the little, I think it was like I don't know what it was, because it wasn't the specs. Maybe it was the serial number of the wheels or like a batch number or something like that. I don't think it was anything like super important. Depending on the angle and the light, you can kind of make out what the letter or what the numbers are. I don't know why I keep saying letters. You can kind of make out what the numbers are ever so slightly, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. These wheels look absolutely amazing. Now the backside, obviously you saw throughout the entire process, the back flange is nice and buffed up. The back is nice and buffed up. I went through with a chamfer tool on a drill just to clean up the edges of the lug nut holes. Just something I like to do to make the wheels look a little more presentable, make the line between the transition of metal and the powder just nice, crisp, and clean. So Rob's gonna be coming down. He's gonna be bringing me a lip, a barrel, and some hardware. We're gonna mock up the wheels, get some final shots so you can see what these things are gonna look like when they're fully assembled. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching this video. You can go check out the rest of this build series on Rob's channel, where he fully disassembles these wheels, and obviously all the assembly, the torquing, and the sealing is gonna be on his video, which will be linked somewhere here, either in the description or up on the screen. Also, if you're interested in learning more about powder coating, whether it be the procedures, the tips, the tricks, the tools, feel free to check out my Patreon, where I have over 100 tutorial videos ranging anything from setting up your gun all the way to doing multi-piece wheels. Now it's back to regular programming in the shop. As you can see, I have a few valve covers up here that I need to mask up and get ready for coating. I also have a set of wheels here that are ready to coat, so I gotta hang those up on the rack. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next project.